Hello, greetings. Welcome to Conversation with Tony Mobley. Today on Conversation with Tony Mobley, we're going to have Mr. Kenn Jordan. He is CEO of Elms Park Consultants. You can watch Conversation with Tony Mobley on YouTube or Conversation with Tony Mobley website. This is the 106th episode of Conversation with Tony Mobley. Thanks to everyone for being a part of this new journey powered by Mimo Live. We also want to thank everyone for being a part of the old infrastructure. Tonight is a departure from our regular conversation. It is a lab, part two, with Mr. Kenn Jordan. And I want to thank everyone. I want to thank the team behind Conversation with Tony Mobley for all of their hard work. You can go to conversationwithTonyMobley.com where you can ask questions in the Mukana chat. It is an interactive chat which is powered by Alex Lindsay and 090. There you can ask your questions. You can actually have your questions voted up and down and ensure that they will be on our conversation today. You can also go to the website, Conversation with Tony Mobley, and register. You can ask your questions in the YouTube chat. And that is all for the beginning of the show. We're going to get right into the lab. And I want to welcome again Mr. Kenn Jordan. He was on with us last week and he started the lab and it was so much fun we did not get a chance to finish. So we're going to try to finish it up tonight. And thank you, Kenn Jordan, so much for being with me again.
My pleasure, Tony. Thank you. Thank you for having me back.
And so for those who may not have been here last week, we want you to just give us a brief introduction to who you are so that those who may not know who you are get a chance.
I'll do a better job this week than last week. Yeah, Kenn Jordan. I'm an internet consultant at Elms Park. We build websites, do business automation tools for online and digital marketing as well. So what I'm going to demonstrate today is it's called a large language model. It's made by OpenAI. I'm sure you would have heard about it because it's been all over the news. And we're going to be using their latest release, which is a thing called GPTs, which basically what that is a way of making your own custom to whatever you want it to do. I like to think of it like an app, like an app for your phone. So, but you'll see on how easy it is to make one. You don't need programming or coding skills. You just need an idea or something that you would or a little idea of a tool or just.
Ken, I want you to repeat that again because I don't think people recognize what you have just said when you said you don't need to be a coder to use Chat GPT and AI.
Not anymore. Yes, it has changed. The skill set that you required before to make and I'm going to call them an app because I think most people with a smartphone kind of recognize what an app is. But this GPT that you can create it just using normal language. You're just typing into a box, which I'll demonstrate, and it behind the scenes takes those instructions that you've typed in and basically codes and builds the application for you. So closest thing that you would think with one way you'd be using one is if you go to Google and you're doing a search for something and you're looking. We're going to do an example for cooking, say. So you have a particular cooking needs, or you've got a few items in your fridge and you've no idea what to make from that. Well, if you were to use Google and kind of search online for that, it'd be quite a long, complicated search to be able to, to work out from those ingredients that you've got. And if you've got dietary restrictions, to come up and find a recipe. But the large language models, they were like OpenAI's ChatGPT would enable you to do that. Those are perfect kind of examples of what it could do, of it producing an answer for that. But it's gone a stage further now, where you can turn that request into a little application. If there's something you're regularly doing and you want it to be really customized to your needs, you can now build that, but without the need without needing to know any programming.
That's fantastic.
And that's really the kind of the big game changer that we're going to see with this. So think of it like making an app, but without knowing how to program. So we'll demonstrate that with a well, we can demonstrate that. Hopefully we get some questions about things, and I can show you how quick it is, and we can do a quick cooking one.
Okay, that's great. I'm looking forward to this. And one of the things that, as you were talking, one of the things that jumped out at me is that this is something that is sort of a leveling of the playing field, from the standpoint that it doesn't matter what your age is. It doesn't matter what your economic background is. This is something that anybody and everybody can utilize. All they have to do is have access to the AI.
Yes, there is a slight hurdle. There is this version, the version that enables you to build your own custom ones. There are many free ones where you could do what I just spoke about, like ask it. Well, no, I'll demonstrate one. I'll show you the free version first. I think that's important, because even the free version is really powerful. But the next stage is where you can build your own custom one, and that's what we'll show later. And that one is it's a $20 a month subscription. But I think hopefully, if I can demonstrate the power of it, you can see that it's going to be worth that investment. If I can, because I've got, you might have some great idea that you want to make it like into an app, but that would normally take a lot of programming skills, or even finding who to know to do that. But you can get well on the way by making what's called a GPT. But we'll start off first on the free one. I'll show you how powerful just the free version is. Then we'll take that. Okay. Right. So let me go to GPT 3.5. This version is free. There's you can run this app. You don't need a computer. You can run this directly from your phone. But let me demonstrate, like the cooking suggestion, say, for example, on here. So I follow paleo diet. So I'm going to actually write that in. It'll be interesting to see. Paleo diet. Now, what do I have in the fridge? So I have carrots. What else do I have? Oh yeah, cabbage. What else? Well, just those two ingredients. Yeah. What could you come up with? I have some carrots and
As you're doing this, a thought occurred to me. I could be at the grocery store, open up the free version of this, and actually, as I'm walking through the grocery store, be selecting items, and then at some point say, okay, this is what I have, or this is what I'm getting from the grocery store. Go ahead and prepare a meal based on the items that I have.
Yes. Or you can, well, we'll start with with this, and I'll show you on how much further. So this is just the free version. So I'll just put
Okay.
in, I follow paleo diet, I have some carrots and cabbage. What recipes can you make? So, um, so now it's going to, go off and come up. Well, here it goes. It's really fast. Just scroll back. So I can certainly help you with some recipes using carrots and cabbage. Here's a couple of ideas. So it's given me, some recipes. That's on here. And a stirred fried carrots, cabbage. So that's an example there of it very quickly making a recipe following because I follow a paleo diet, and coming up with, so like here, 2 tablespoons of coconut animas, which is a friendly alternative to soya sauce because soya isn't paleo. So that's a really simple, quick way of. Now imagine trying to do that just with a Google search. That would have been, it would have been really difficult to kind of come up with that now. But here it's kind of tailoring that to, so very specific to your request, and then going and finding, building on that. So that's a really simple example. That's using the free version of ChatGPT to do that. But now, if I wanted to take that, say, a step further, where I wanted to, build, tailor this for my needs, and build basically a little app. So whenever I go to ChatGPT, I can click on this app, and it's just tailored to giving me recipes or ideas for cooking, for paleo cooking. So
Okay. So we have a question from Ray Franklin. His question is, Ken, what criteria do you consider before taking on new clients? Are there tells that indicate the potential client will require too much of your time without compensation?
good question. No, it's not related to this, but it follows what we do. Yeah, before we take on any new clients, we do a free 15-minute consult where I'm on a Zoom call, and I talk with them about what their needs are. Ideally, they filled in one of our forms beforehand, and then we have a chat. And it's on that. It's within that I'm good at being able to judge. Then, okay, yes, whether that will be someone who's suitable, or we'll be able to work together. So that's what we do. We have a free consult with them over a Zoom call, and that's where we can then get to gauge whether we'll be a good fit for one another. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Ray, for your question.
All right.
All
So
right, now.
I've now gone back into ChatGPT, but I've chosen now version 4, and they said this is the paid version. So you see, it's just the same interface here, but I'm, rather than doing, asking it the question again, it has a capability which is called here, where you can create and customize a version of GPT for my specific purpose. So I'm going to do that. So that's where you go and you click on that, and then it asks you what I would like to make. And so I would say I want to make a recipe planner. But I paleo diet. Okay. So I've gone in and And so now what it's doing is taking that behavior, taking that question, and actually now programming itself to that. And now it will kind of ask me questions like it's come up with a name for the app, Paleo Planner. Does that sound good to you? I'll say yes. And now it's going to generate a little icon image for this. So that's
wow.
generated a little icon. And on this left-hand side here, this is where I'm putting in the instructions. And on the right-hand side here you're seeing a preview of, well, let's call it an app, the app that I've created. So it's already come with an icon, the name, and then, depending on what kind of app you've got, if you're not sure of what other things to add, you can actually ask it and say, what other things would be useful to add to this? Or here it's kind of asking, it's asking questions. So could you tell me more about what specific tasks or type of assistance you'd expect from a paleo diet planner? For instance, do you want it to focus on creating meal plans, suggesting recipes, offering nutritional advice, or something else? And I'd say, yeah, I'd say focus on creating, those three are fine. So put that in.
Okay, while you're doing that, Ken, I wanted to just revisit a couple of things from last week. So you said last week, and you're referring to GPTs as looking at them as they were apps. Is that correct?
Yeah, so I think that's a better analogy, because if people kind of recognize what an app is, and you're making a this app, but it's personal to you, and it can, as a case in this one, I can let it can go off to the web, but do very personalized searching for whatever I'm coding it to do. So I'm trying to give it some guardrails of what I want it to look for. Um, and that's the basis of what I've started here. But say I've got some, you know, certain ingredients that I never want to have that's in there. So never find a recipe or never generate a recipe that has potatoes, for example. Well, it wouldn't, because it's a paleo planner, but or tomatoes, say. You can program that in so that it won't, when it's generating this, that it would never put those ingredients into there. Yeah.
Okay, so I just want to be clear for those people, particularly those who may have watched last week. Last week you said that the GPTs, another way of referencing them is also bots.
Yeah.
So when we talk about bots, when we talk about chat GPTs, and when we talk about AI using bots and GPTs as an app, we are talking about the same thing. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
All right.
I last week I kind of said it as a bot, because a bot is, if you're more technical, you only recognize what a bot does in terms of it goes off, kind of searches the web. You give it an instruction, it will go off and search the web, find that information, and bring that back. So that's why I use that analogy, but most people wouldn't, unless you're technical, recognize what that is. So I think to make the language more simpler, I think calling it a little application or an app, I think people with if you've got a smartphone, you kind of recognize
People are able to connect with it better.
yes, connect
Absolutely.
better. Yeah.
Absolutely. We
Yeah.
also have a question from Mike Edwards of Brooklyn, New York. His question is, hey, Ken, how effective do you see GPTs helping with CEOs and lead generation? Any demos on this?
Yeah, we can do that. You can you can generate one, and we can do that. Well, now the beauty of making the GPT, of which I've done here, rather than kind of a general chat, is I can save it in this state and then come back to it later and then add more to it, or refine it more. So all I do is here, you have the option here. You can save it so it's only for you, or you can save it in a way for people and with a link so that you can share it amongst friends, or you can, if you think it's going to be a great app and the public would love it, you can make it public, because soon there will be an app store or GPT store for this. So very quickly you can generate something and it will be put in an app in the app store. So normally, if you were making a real app for an iPhone or for Android, that process of obviously building it and then releasing it and then putting it in the app store, this is all done here by just me clicking on confirm. So when their app store is available, it'll be up there. And OpenAI, who are the company behind ChatGPT, they have said, if it's really popular ones, they'll do a revenue share. We're not sure yet how that model is going to work, but that's what we've done here. So this is the benefit of this GPT. So even though I haven't really finished and there's more bits I want to add to it, but I can just do it and save it there for later, and I can come back to it and edit GPT. So this is what it's programmed itself so far, but I can always just come back and add more. It says here, welcome back. Is there anything the Paleo Planner should be doing better, or anything you'd like to change? So you can always come back to it and refine it, pour more data into it. So I think Mike was asking about if you're CEO and if you can repeat the question again, I think it's up.
Sure.
Yeah.
How effective do you see GPTs helping with SEO and lead generation? Any demos on this?
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's do the SEO one first, because I've actually got one that I've made. We've actually made, I think, about 40 or 50 of these now. We have one directly on SEO, because SEO is changing. It's a constant changing and evolving. SEO is search engine optimization. It's a very specialized thing. We'll do this other example as well. This is for if you have a website and you want it to rank well in Google or in search engines, then you need to optimize it for search engines, and that's what SEO is. But SEO has changed and is always evolving, because there's always new algorithms that Google uses or other search engines for how they rank websites. So we've actually developed one, and there's quite a lot of learnings and code that we put behind it. So it's not just and this is kind of showing a bit more advanced version. So it's not just the normal instructions here. We have input into here a number of articles, bits of things we've written, bits of code, keyword tools. So all of these are in documents. So we've got, we've done so much of this, we've got good documentation, and we can just get that into electronic form. The thing we do is, and then we can upload those. We can upload those files, and so it can pull from our own library on SEO, on search engine optimization, our own library of documentation, and just pull from those when offering advice on that. So that's the real power for this tool. You have your a library of content, your own or ones that you can pull from the web, and you can, and then the app will only, you can program it, will just say only pull from this resource. So it only look in our own documentation to pull that, because trying to remember all of those different aspects and keeping that when you're pulling things together or needing advice on a particular thing. This is where the power of GPTs really come in.
This is really amazing. Thank you, Ken, so much for showing this. I know this wasn't part of what you had planned to do for us
No.
tonight.
Ideally, yes, but my plan really is for people like Mike. Thank you, Mike, for the question. Is really to show, is for questions about it, about what it can do, or people who have used it or having issues with it, or just ideas on how it can help them. So yeah, the more questions we have related about what they think it can do, and then I can demonstrate on how you would do that. So
Thank you, Mr. Mike Edwards. Thank you, sir. We appreciate your question.
Okay. All right, so let's go back to my my Paleo Planner example. So the way so go back into the edit screen so you can see this is the part, this side I program it by using natural language, and this is the output of it. So as you see, it already came up with 4 suggested examples to use when building it, but you can edit those yourself in the configure side. These are the custom instructions. These custom instructions it made from just what I wrote earlier, and then it chose kind of conversation starters. That's on there. So for example, create a week-long paleo meal plan. That's a great idea. Let it go off and do that. So what it's going to do here is providing me a paleo diet for the week.
This is amazing.
Going through that, what it's doing, creating that. Now, let me look through here. So let's say I didn't like avocados, which I do like, but let's just say we don't. So I'm going to take, so I'm seeing its suggestion here, and this is all looks really good, but I don't want avocados in my. So I can just go back here and say, and ever choose avocado. So just by me typing that in, it's now going to update itself, update its own little engine that's there. And now not when, if I ask that same question, that's now updated. Okay. Got it. Paleo Planner will now avoid suggesting avocados, any meal plans or recipes. Is there anything else you'd like to add or adjust? Okay, so that's already put in here.
So it didn't remove it from the day that it had on there for lunch, did it?
Well, it made a day planner, but that was before it knew I didn't want avocados. So I'm going to ask it now, but see whether it has now, remembered
the adjustment
and made the adjustment. Yes.
Okay.
So so let's go. Yes. Create a meal plan for the week. And let's just see. So it's going through. And
yeah, I want to say it was like Tuesday or Wednesday. It had the avocados in there,
yes,
and I don't see it.
It did have that before, but now I can't see. Yes, it's not. So now it's done a meal plan for the week without without avocados. So you can. So this is a really simple example of the types of things that this can do. And or if there's a particular, even if say there's a particular chef and they have a great style of cooking. So let's say, who can think of one, like Gordon Ramsay? Yes.
And we have another question from
Okay.
Mike Edwards, and this question is: Thanks for this lab, Kenn. What is the outer limits you found with building a new custom GPTs?
Okay. There are. We built so many, and the biggest one we built was actually one for you, Tony. Let me just go to that one, because what we did, we input all, I think it's now 106. Well, we haven't done this show yet because we're doing it live. We've input all 105 transcripts of all your shows into a GPT. So this is the one that's on the website. There's a link to it. Thank you for the few that have been playing around with it and been trying to use it. And I know there are issues with it, and by us pushing ourselves and building something as complex as that, we've kind of seen some of the limitations that there are with this, because you've got to realize this is still in beta stage. This has only been released for a couple of weeks, and so there are limitations to it. So let me show you some of the limitations or hurdles that you will hit with this. So this is the one we built for Tony, and we when we was originally building this, I was going to we built script to go to each of his videos and pull the transcript down of that video. If you look at last week's show, I went through on what we actually did and how that actually worked. So we had 100 at that time. It was 104 separate transcripts, and so I thought, great, we've got all these transcripts now. So let me just upload them. But when I was uploading them, you can only take 10 files. So that's the first limitation. So you can only put 10 documents into it, but the size of those documents, you can go, I think it's up to 500 meg. We've got another GPT that will tell us that. So so I thought, oh, all I have to do is merge all of those, merge them into one document or into a series of documents and upload that. So that's what we did. So you can see here, this is episodes 1 to 18 and 19 to 31. There is 30 to 47, and so we had merged them because only 10 files that you can put in at a time. So that's one of the hurdles that there is there with it. But the size of those files, so even though it can take really large files, the limitations are it's very good at remembering the content, the first bit of content and the last bit of content. So, but if you've got too long a document, then the bits that are in the middle, that's where it can sometimes make mistakes and what we call hallucinate, in terms of it doesn't fully read that. So the size of the document, how many words are in each document, there is a limitation and presently of its memory, of how much it can store to remember. But all of those are constantly being improved. So with Tony's one, because some of the transcripts, and you can imagine there's 105 shows, over an hour each, a lot of talking. So there's really a lot of text in those transcripts. So it's a lot for it to work within this GPT presently. And I think we've kind of seen the limitation now. If we were building this, if we were programming this, then those limitations we can get around because of how we would build it. But as a as a basic tool that anyone can use, you'll be hard pushed to kind of hit those limitations. But there are, we really push things to the limit to see where it falls over. But you've got to remember, this is literally days old, and it's already has this kind of power, and that's
Right.
just compute power. So this is version 4. There'll be version 5 or 4.5. So it just get better and better and better. So it's amazing what it can do right now, and but with this kind of simple interface. So it would be, I think it'd be hard push to hit those limits, but yeah, if you push really hard, then you can kind of come up against those. But those are
So,
the.
we're gonna ask Mike Edwards to go ahead and test this for us and get back to us and share it with us. See if he can push some limits.
Yes, I mean, but the thing is, it gives you a great base to start with, an understanding, because the interface is very simple. You're just putting in natural language, and then you can look at the back. And even though this isn't really showing any much code at all, but you can kind of see the instructions of what you put in your natural language, and how machines interpret that language to produce these set of instructions. Because once you're seeing that, then you can soon, we just come straight to this part because we've built so many and know those instructions to put in and put them in directly. So you just get better at learning and understanding how these tools work, because they are going to be, they're proliferating everywhere, and this gives you a very gentle ramp up into building your own and getting a basic understanding of how they work. Because the more knowledge you have about it, the better you can utilize it for your needs. And so that really is the game changer that we are seeing with this, is people who don't have the restrictions of understanding programming. Because if you're a programmer, you know how to build and develop things, you know how things work, and it's quite linear. When you give it to someone who doesn't have those restrictions, they don't know that, and therefore what they can create, what they can put into it. We're seeing some brilliant use cases of some of these GPTs. So I really encourage everyone to, so start with the free version, just to kind of, as we started with, and just do like the basic recipe planner and getting it to do that. Free version can do that really well. But the subscription model, the paid version, is where you can really push the limits of this and start creating really custom solutions.
I want to piggyback on that from the
Mm.
standpoint, Ken. I was watching a TikTok. I want to say it was this week, and the gentleman was on there, and he was saying that this was a way of leveling the playing field. And he said that people who are subscribing to streaming services, he said, sacrifice your Netflix or your Paramount or Hulu or whoever you're using. Sacrifice that $20 a month that you're using and go ahead and get the paid version of ChatGPT. He said he's not affiliated with the AI, OpenAI in any way, or ChatGPT, but he thinks that this is a way in which it is a leveling field for every individual who wants to continue to learn and grow and potentially create business for themselves. And so I wanted to know what you thought about those comments.
Yes, yeah, I remember saying at the end of the show last week, I said the same thing. This is the um, rather than, I think it's saying, rather than consuming content, this enables you to be a content creator, but in a really, it's a really easy ramp up. So just for $20 a month, and you can just do it for 1 month. You're not tied into a yearly plan. So just try it for a month, and you will, I almost guarantee that you will keep that subscription, that you will find it so valuable, so useful, so helpful within your role, within whatever job that you're doing. That that you'll continue, but it really would be the best $20 that you've ever spent. So just try it for a month. Try it for a month,
And you heard it
come
here
back.
from Kenn
Yeah.
Jordan. Try it for a month. At least try it for a month. It's the best $20 that you can spend. And we have a question from Liberty White. What are some of the GPTs that Kenn thinks will have the greatest impact on education? How should educators be using this?
Well, there are. Let's go to my pull up some of the ones that I use. So for educators, I think there's a challenge now, because obviously the power of this, but with these GPTs now, you can make your lesson plans, really push the students into being far more creative than they are, rather than following rote kind of, they'd just be more creative in coming up with answers and solutions on this. In terms of the tools that we've used, so we've used, well, a lot of them we've used and then we've kind of developed on there. So one job that we do when we're building websites is we're generating images. We now use AI models to do that. So we use these to generate images for us for use on the web. But we then also added, so this is one that we've done where, again, because of the GPT part on this, for our needs, well, it actually should be for every need, is that once it generates an image, so let's go, say, let's go, a man walking his dog. Once it generates the image, we've just enhanced it to add to always come with an alt tag, because it knows the images. So it comes with an alt description, because anytime if you're building a website, any image that you put up, you should have alternative text. That's for those who either use screen readers, so that they can, or people with limited vision, so having an alt description of that image. So we added that option here, so to make the alt text. So here, as you see, this is a man of Middle Eastern descent walking his golden retriever in a green park with tall trees. So, but also we always compress our images for the web, because the images that it produces are quite large, they're like 3 meg. So we got it to turn it into a WebP format so that we can just download that image.
Wow.
We also use Midjourney, because Midjourney is another text to image generator. We love Midjourney because that produces some really beautiful results. It's all better than this in terms of photographically. We think Midjourney, which is another text to image generator, does better results. So we additionally get it to write out that prompt in the form that Midjourney will take. So I can just click on the copy code, and I can copy, and it copies that, and I can paste that directly into Midjourney, and it will generate an image. So that's kind of how we're using it to build and enhance and save our workflow, because it's done 3-4 tasks all in one. So that's minimized our workflow by just getting it to produce the image from our prompts. There's the image, but we need it as a in WebP format. We want the alt text. We also want to try it in Midjourney and giving us the code to doing that. So that's very simple.
And this version is actually is Dolly. Is that correct?
Yes, the ChatGPT uses its own image, text to image engine, which is DALL-E, DALL-E 3, which is what this image is generated by for. But we, so it's really good at following the kind of the prompt. We get a very simple one there, but really more complicated prompts is very good at doing that. But that's just
Is there
short
an
example.
additional cost to Midjourney?
No.
I'm sorry.
Oh, for Midjourney, there is that's I would say if you've got this, you're probably not going to need to use Midjourney unless you're your part of your job is in producing
High quality images.
then yes, I would definitely worth the investment also in Midjourney, which we use because for us, it's part of our role, part of what we do. So we also have a Midjourney account.
So could you do another example of a man walking his dog and give it some different parameters?
Yes, you can you can either be more specific with that term. Well, let's use it in a different way because we've got a job where we're doing we have to generate a lot of thumbnails for a for bulletin board software. It's a very big, and they've got loads and loads of different loads of different group titles, and so we have to generate thumbnails for that. So we just customized a version of this to build thumbnails for that particular job and task. They have to be output at a certain size. It all needs to be WebP, and that's again what you would do for that. But text to image part is we can go into do that, but actually, I think the part where there's the extra part where I want to show, which I think is more be more useful than that, because we've kind of gone through that part. I'm just going to go back to, there's also built in within ChatGPT 4, there are three, let me show you here. There are three engines now all built into one. And let's, why isn't that scrolling? Oh, I'm in the wrong place. Configure. So it can browse the web. So you can always get it to, you can put in a specific website you want it to go to, or let it just browse the web. So it's always up to date with the information it's pulling. There's the DALL-E image generator, but there's also a thing called code interpreter. This is one where it's actually got vision. So there was an example that someone built where they used its vision to watch them do yoga. And it was then telling them that their positioning wasn't right and to adjust themselves. So that was a really creative use of the GPT, of its vision capabilities to be able to do that. So a code interpreter cannot just, so you can upload an image to it and get it to analyze it or to read the text from it, stuff like that. So let me just even go just a straight ChatGPT here. So let's see if I've got an example. Let's see. So yeah, this is a particularly difficult one. I gave it a Sudoku puzzle.
Okay.
Sudoku is actually, we've actually made a Sudoku. So the picture of the Sudoku puzzle, and then to get it to analyze that picture and fill in the missing fill in the blanks. That's the level of capabilities that it has now with the vision part. So you can upload a picture which say it's got text on it, and it can read the text that's on that and translate that back. Or, take upload something in a different language and get it to translate. So it now has the vision, but all of these are now combined into one, and that's really where the power of ChatGPT 4 comes with, in that it can do all of those things in the one application. So that's what really makes it very, very powerful. I'm not sure actually what I've fully answered Liberty's question. What else was there in that she?
How should educators be using this? That was the last line.
Okay, it would be really to use it to help enhance your plans, enhance your teaching materials, to help you generate images that to illustrate what you're wanting to teach. Because as a teacher, this the the benefit of the new version with the GPTs is that you can build things that kind of with guardrails, because you can say, get it just to pull from this resource rather than, kind of fully browse the web for it. So this can help you to be more creative in your plans, but this enables every student to have a custom teacher helping them learn specifically for their needs. And that's really what you can build with ChatGPT. You can build this engine, but each student, when they're using it, it's be custom and tailored to them. So it's like, you've got this great book, but you can then, tailor it for each individual student. That's really where the power of this thing comes in, is in making, rather than generic, you're trying to cover all with a kind of generic lessons, you can tailor them to each student needs, because we all think and learn differently. But I have ADHD, and I'm a very much kinetic ADHD. So I built a tool to help me with that. So I have an ADHD coach, and with her to actually build these tools, but it's custom to me, because I say, well, I'm this is the way that I work, and it will then tailor a plan exactly to meet my needs. So, but still has guardrails of the teacher or coach can still make sure, because you can build and test that, that it's, pulling from the right place, because you can say, this is the documentation that I want it to pull from. These meet the kind of criteria, and it'll only pull from those resources, but customize them to each student's needs. So it's for teachers, this is really takes you to that next level. It enables you to build things that you would always want to make something individual for each student, but you just wouldn't have the time to do this. This will give you that time and enable you to do that. So it really is in my opinion, a kind of a revolution on teaching, and on being able to to tailor content for the individual, which would just be normally too expensive for you to be able to do that, or take too long.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. What are we're running out of time, but I just wanted to ask, what would the pitfalls be for educators? And if there are not any, that's fine too.
No,
I'm
no.
just
Well,
curious.
there are, because you really need to, with the skill set that this has, you need to be, really, you can't kind of phone it in, not with tools like this now, because people can see, well, that's not, you're not really you. So you need to, if you're passionate about your job, you're passionate about teaching, then if you start using this tool, you can see how you can relay that passion individually to each student. It's yes, I think the teachers out there, which you'll be the super teachers when they're using this will become even more supercharged. So
Wow.
yes, the danger is,
Okay.
yes, if you're, as I said, if you're phoning in your work, if you're not, then this thing is going to be, you know it's going to
We
supersede that.
we have a question from Jack of Maine, USA. His question is, what are the biggest challenges you face when crafting a custom prompt? Is it consistency of response?
The response ChatGPT always gives is always different each time, unless you program it and you can give it a very fixed script for it to follow, and it will follow that. If you say, always follow with this particular, someone asks this particular question, always follow this script. Beauty is this: if ever I'm stuck or not sure, I ask ChatGPT on what would be a better way of doing this. Or once I've built anything, I ask it to question itself. How could this be improved? So yes, but before, we've been using AI for a while. So are experienced in kind of coming up with prompting, coming up with really good prompts. And that would mean that when we were using, we were getting far better results than someone who's just putting in something more general. But now you can build, or which we have built, prompt enhancers for you. So you can put in something that, it's might not be quite right, but we've worked out a set of rules. So we built one where we put in those rules. So when you put in a prompt, a very basic one, it will turn it into a much better prompt that you can then feed it back in and get better results. So it's really iteration that we can do now with this, but then wrap that in a place and then come back to it and refine it and add on to it. And that's really where the new GPTs enable us to do. It is to kind of go back to something that we've built, we've got another idea, or seen, or there's been a change, or we need to reprogram it slightly. We just call it back up and add our new learnings into it just to improve it. So we're constantly learning from it, and then we're feeding that back in to the GPT.
Okay, I think this is going to be our last question for tonight. It's from Guy Cochran. His question is, what excites you about the future?
I think the fact that they have leveled the playing field with this, that people who have great ideas, who are creative, or they've got things that they wanted to do but didn't have resources to do them, didn't have access to a team of programmers, or might not be artistic, but they've got a good vision of what they want to do. This enables them to do that. And I just can't wait to see when this is put into the hands of non-artists, non-programmers, of what they will come up with, because they will come up with things that no one else would have thought about, because they're not restricted by the guardrails of programming or how you would design something. So that's really what I'm excited to see is those who are not traditionally in my field, who are using this tool and what they come up with. That's really exciting.
Coloring outside of the line.
Mm.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you so much, Kenn Jordan, for being with me one more time. I really appreciate it. And maybe we can come back again soon and do let us know where we are. We
Yeah.
didn't talk anything about the status of OpenAI, but we'll save that for another time, and maybe there'll be some new new information and insights to what's going on with OpenAI as well. We want to say thank you to everyone who has joined us tonight. You can watch live on YouTube or on my website at conversationswithTonyMobley.com. Conversation with Tony Mobley is produced by valued audio visual professionals who meet daily on Office Hours Global, hosted by Alex Lindsay. Thank you, Mimo Live and YouTube, Conversations with Real People. Next week, November 29th, 2023, at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, Michael Forrest presents on Conversation with Tony Mobley, Q-Cam Presenter. It is one of his new exciting projects that he's been working on, and he's going to come with us next week and share what he's doing. And I had a chance to see some of it today, and I think you want to be here next week to see what Michael Forrest is sharing. Stay tuned for new episodes and great conversations at Conversations with Tony Mobley. Thank you all. Thank you, everyone, for the 100 plus episodes of Conversation with Tony Mobley. And when you have time, look back at some of those 100 plus episodes, and hopefully you'll find something there that you like and that is helpful. Take care. God bless. And Ken, thank you so much for doing what you do for this conversation today and for being the person who you are. Thank you, sir. Take care. God bless. Good night.